things have you been doing to engage this supply base?
What we try to do is, let's say you have supplier auditing from a social point of view. So we have risk countries. On average, we do 200 supplier audits. And the outcome of the audit, what you try to do is you have an actual status quo, so a performance or a temperature check at a company. And what we do is, together with our team in China, we try to help them to improve the outcome of the non-conformities, whether it's on health and safety, working conditions, environmental impact. So that's one program. Another program that we do is what we call supplier development. So with specialists on cost engineering, supplier development engineering, we try to help the supplier to gain insights in how they can eliminate waste. And waste, you need to think about waste in production, waste in resource inefficiencies, waste in logistics, so everything related to waste, because everything that you lose as waste is lost in value. And the latest program we are starting, that's called Design for Excellence. And in Design for Excellence, what we actually try to do is think to the future. So think in architecture, systematic design, and it's bringing marketing and innovation and production, and in some cases even suppliers around the table and say, okay, if you look to a product of Philips, what can we do different towards more a solution service approach? So instead of just selling a box or product once, what would we need to change, for example, to go to a solution or service?
And how far does your help and support to those suppliers extend? Until you get to the point where it's actually, if you're not meeting X, Y, Z standard, you cannot supply to us.
You have different criteria. If you look from a supplier sustainability point of view, we have minor and major non-compliances. For example, child labor is a good example. If we encounter child labor in the supply chain, we not immediately phase out. We try to understand where is it coming from. Is it because the family needs money? Is it because there's no education in the surroundings? Is it a common habit in a certain area? So when you understand, you can go into a dialogue with the supplier and with the community to resolve the issue. If you come back and the situation hasn't been improved, you give them a little bit more of time to still make sure that it is improved. And within a certain period of time, we say, okay, if you're not willing, you're not collaborating with us, okay, then for us it's unacceptable.
Sure.
But we always try to resolve and to improve before we step out.
And what's the biggest challenge for you in trying to maintain a sustainable supply chain?
For me, and then that's purely looking now to circular economy, is the role of procurement within a circular economy approach. Because we are used to go to a supplier to buy a product or to buy a component, we bring it to the market, and then actually the relationship ends. But if you look to circular economy, you need to make sure that a part harvest or a spare part or a reused product or an end-of-life product goes back somewhere in the supply chain. That means the procurement team needs to understand that their role is changing. Instead of just negotiating about the forward logistics, you suddenly talk about reverse logistics, you talk about refurbishment, upgradability, you talk about flexible design. So a completely different approach, but also the context is changing. And what we try to do from a supplier sustainability point of view is, if you look to energy, if you look to resource efficiency, try to help them to identify the value add. And it's complex because we are still at an early stage. But if you look to the long term, if you talk about pay-per-use concept, if you think about performance-based contracting, we need to make small steps. And it's a learning mode for everybody, also for us as supplier sustainability team.
The journey you've been on so far, what are you most proud of?
Yeah, for me there are two things. One is, in my previous job, I worked for Office Depot. I was able to develop a tool together with an external party on mapping the supply chain from an environmental and social element. So really go to the raw material and identify the hotspots in the supply chain. And because you identify the hotspots, you could show the procurement people to go beyond the first tier, to leverage on the things that you know in the supply chain instead of the things you don't know. And if I look to the current role within Philips, in that sense, we are shaping a new program. And in a new program that we're shaping, we want to move away from compliance monitoring towards impact management. And that means we want to lead the change in supplier sustainability.
And what's the secret to a successful, sustainable supply chain, do you think?
It's be open and honest. It's create trust, try to develop partnerships, and it's be persistent and energetic. That are actually the things. Because you need to maintain, you need to keep knocking on the doors, and you need to keep knocking on different doors at the same time, because at the end you cannot change it yourself. You need collaboration from different stakeholders, upstream as well as downstream.
Marcel, that's great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.